I'd like to introduce to you the first speaker of the day, Amanda LaGrange with Tech Dump Electronics Recycling.
Well, we just met each other. Let's start with some confession time. By a show of hands, how many people in this room have changed your cell phone or smartphone in the last 18 months? Excellent. Would you believe that that's perfectly normal? And this is when we're going to get really personal. How many of you in the room have more than one cell phone in a drawer, in a cabinet, in a basement, somewhere in your home or business? You are also not alone. There are many hands. E-waste is the fastest growing waste stream in the world. A recent UN report shows that in 2014, 41.8 million tons, 42 million tons were discarded globally. And the US EPA reports, and they're estimating that the generation of e-waste will continue to increase 5 to 10% each year. So we see this everywhere, right? We see kids that used to play with blocks, they now know how to use iPads and iPhones way better than we do. We see thermostats that somehow talk to our computers. And the scary part of all of this is that if we don't handle these electronics properly, the impact is felt around the world. To make electronics, we mine various materials. We turn petroleum into plastic, and when we're done with all these gadgets, they all too often end up being thrown into a landfill. The toxins inside then are polluting, like lead and mercury and all sorts of brominated items that I can't pronounce while holding a microphone. And this ends up in the water that we drink. And all of a sudden, that broken gadget that you slid into your trash can because you were really stressed out in the middle of a move, all of that comes back to haunt you because it's now in our water and in our soil. We also then have gadgets in our landfills that are full of precious metals, rare earth metals that we're running out of. In fact, my friend the gorilla up there, just in making our cell phones, we are impacting their climate, and we're seeing a decline in the gorilla population. Another scary part of this waste stream is even when people do try to do the right thing and responsibly recycle those electronics, they can end up getting exported and end up in lands that maybe don't have the highest of standards for recycling, something that we call digital dumping. Okay, so that's a lot, right? We kind of feel like, well, that's maybe a world away, but let's bring it back to America and our wonderful obsession with the iPhone. So when we're getting the brand new iPhone, right, we talk through and think through all of the different models, whether we want an S at the end or not, maybe what color we want. But as soon as it's in our hot little hands, the old one gets slipped into a drawer or some collection of cables and cords, and we stop thinking about it until we're reorganizing or we're moving, and then all of a sudden maybe that temptation of, well, I don't know how to destroy my data, so I'm just gonna put it in the trash. If we just spent a couple extra minutes to figure out what to do with that gadget, what impact could that have? So enter Tech Dump. I have the amazing honor and privilege to be part of making that very scary state of electronics not quite so scary. Tech Dump is a local electronics recycler and refurbisher that takes all sorts of consumer and business materials. We figure out what can be refurbished and reused and what should just be torn down to the cords, boards, plastics, and steel to then become the next must-have gadget. We recycled about 4 million pounds of electronics last year in 2014 by making it simple and convenient, because that is one of the hugest keys in recruiting more people into this room and recruiting more people to join the zero waste movement. So at Tech Dump, we do something more though than just recycle electronics and protect the environment. Turns out these electronics, they're great job creators. They're great job creators, in fact, for adults facing some sort of barrier to employment. And at Tech Dump, about 80% of our staff have spent time in the justice system. So my background is finance, and I geek out over statistics, and I've got quite some to share for you. We, in the United States, we are home to about 5% of the world's population. But yet we use 25% of the world's resources and incarcerate about 25% of the world's incarcerated people. These people are then labeled as ex-felons for the rest of their lives as they try to find employment opportunities. So in the context of zero waste, we have to shift our mindset that people are not disposable. Electronics are not disposable. So I invite you to be part of the solution. Clean out your closets, look at your stuff as something of value, and believe that transformation is possible of both people and gadgets. Thank you.